So today with the Greater North Dakota Chamber, we welcome Kevin Ford to talk about cybersecurity. He's the Chief Information Security Officer with the North Dakota Information Technology Department, or else NDIT. Thanks for joining us today, Kevin.
Thanks a lot, Matt. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, so we'll just get started right away. So what is North Dakota Information Technology doing to protect North Dakota's data during COVID-19?
Yeah, that's a great question. Let me back up just a tiny bit. But first, I'd just like to mention that, we're very cognizant that we have a tremendous responsibility to the citizens of North Dakota. In private industry, in business, you have a choice of where you can shop and who you would give your data to. But unfortunately, that's not the case for the state, right? The state requires your data for certain things, tax, driver's license, so on and so forth. So we think of it as, an ethical duty to protect the information of the citizens of North Dakota. And so we've actually invested quite a bit into the security infrastructure of North Dakota. We have a very holistic and unified approach. My team serves as the security team for all of the state agencies and a number of education, county and city governments as well. So we're building probably one of the most advanced cybersecurity operation centers in the nation right now to protect all that data, because our footprint is quite large, and so is our data footprint. So there's a lot of risk there. Specifically with COVID-19, a lot of the the things have changed. The footprint, the environment in which computers or state computers are in has changed pretty fundamentally, right? We have a large network that we're used to the computers being on, and so with that large network, we can put devices on the network to look for malicious traffic, to look for attackers on that network. And now that everyone's gone home, that posture's changed. It's like we were in a nice city where we had big tall walls around it and we could protect everyone inside, and now everyone is living outside of the city, outside of those walls. So it's harder for us to protect in that traditional sense with the network security emphasis. Now everyone's computer is at home, and everyone's computer is attached to their personal network. So we're kind of transitioning the way we're doing security, our philosophy around security, and that means that we need to reach more individuals, the individuals at home, and train them how to be good and safe users of their technologies while at home, because we don't have all of the same tools we had in place before. In addition to that, we're building new tools and new technologies and new capabilities so that we can protect the computers themselves more, right? So we're emphasizing less the environment in which the computers are sitting and more of protecting the individual asset itself, right? So hardening those systems, making sure that for state computers, services and different applications that don't need to be on there aren't on there, so that bad guys can't get to those and use them against the state and the government. And we're also doing pretty large marketing and education campaigns around cybersecurity. We're trying to get some of our key messages out there to help educate the user base around how to be safe and secure while they're at home on their home networks. So those are a lot of the types of things we're doing with COVID-19, and that's kind of how the security posture has shifted since COVID-19 started.
Yeah, so just on that vein, what are you seeing more of now, or maybe not pre-COVID, in the form of cyber attacks?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So largely the tactics are the same, but like I said, the security posture is different. So where we had those walls in place that we could stop attacks, now we don't have those walls in place that we can stop attacks. So we're hardening systems. One of the main ways attackers are trying to take advantage of individuals is a way they've done it all along, but COVID provides them a new and interesting method, and that's phishing. Or social engineering, right? That's more or less people using technology, emails, phone calls, text messages to try to trick you into either installing something that's not good for your computer or divulging information that you shouldn't, whether that's your financial information or whether, that's your account information, your password, so on and so forth. So what's really been successful for attackers during COVID-19 is a couple different scams, a couple different phishing campaigns, and a lot of them are based around, hey, you've been exposed to COVID-19. I need you to click here and enter all your personal information and all the personal information of your friends, so on and so forth, so that we can also contact them, right?
Yeah,
and so when you do that, they just kind of harvest the information. So that's one that's really been prevalent. One about stimulus checks, that's been pretty prevalent as well. Hey, click here to get your stimulus check, enter this information to get your stimulus check. And so really the two main tactics that these attackers are using is trying to get you to open up a document that when you open it up will execute some malicious code known as a macro on your computer that will install some bad programs called malware. Or what they're trying to do is get you to click through to a website that in many cases might look like a legitimate website to enter information in about yourself or your financial information or your passwords, so on and so forth. And so what I encourage everyone really to do is just be really skeptical about these things you see in your email. Make sure, look at who sent it. Is it is bobsattacksite.com, Bill at bobsattacksite.com. Should he be sending, you information about your, your COVID activities or your stimulus check? Probably not, right? So make sure you check who they're from. And sometimes when the attackers will, successfully trick a friend or a family member, they can actually turn around and use those email addresses to try to trick you. So if you get something out of the blue from a friend or family member that you're not expecting, just give them a call or send them a text and, say, hey, is this something you meant to send me? Should I click on this? And if not, let them know, hey, it looks like an attacker may have gotten to your information. But because that's also so prevalent, one of the other things we're really encouraging people to do wherever they can is make their logon process to really, to key resources more robust, right? So one way you can do that is with a more complex password. We suggest that you have a 12-character password with uppercase and lowercase letters, numbers, and a special character. We also, a lot of banking applications and really important applications online, even some of the social networks will ask you, hey, when you log in, do you want us to send you a text message? And that's what's called multi-factor authentication. And it means someone can't log in as you unless they also have your phone or access to some email where they would send that additional information. So that makes it harder for attackers as well. And one of the last things I'd really recommend is don't reuse your passwords, right? A lot of people, will use the same password over and over and over again. So the password for their bank is also the password for their credit card, which is also the password for, maybe some medical service. And if one person gets that one password, imagine all the damage they could do. So that's also a key tip that I'd like everyone to consider.
Nice. Yeah, you kind of jumped into question 3, but other than those, no, you're great. I mean, other than those you listed, are there other things that people can implement today to make them safer from cybersecurity?
Yeah. So one of the things we're seeing is, people will take their devices home and they'll plug it right into the internet. And that's because a lot of people are confused about the devices that maybe their internet service provider gave them, or they just don't know any better. But there are multiple sorts of networking devices that you could have at home, and more or less every single connection ISP relies on a device called a modem, which probably most of you have heard about before. Back in the 90s, the joke is it sounded like robots screaming, right? You dial up and it would get all that weird sound coming through. So in this day and age, we no longer connect directly to the modem. And so the way you can identify a modem is if you look at the back, it will have one Ethernet port, just one, and one connection from your ISP. Generally, that's like a coaxial cable. So it'll look, a lot of the times it'll look like either a coaxial cable, like what your cable TV uses, or it may look like a phone line. So you'll have, but regardless, you have one in and one out. And so that's a modem. And what that does is that translates the signal from your internet service provider to a signal that your computer can read. And so that's good. Your computer will be able to talk on the internet with that device, but what it doesn't do is stop attackers from being able to see your machine behind your modem, right? So when you plug your computer right into your modem, attackers can see your system and get right to it as if you had just plugged it right into the internet, and that's not something we want. A lot of internet service providers these days will provide all-in-one boxes. So if you have one of those and you look in the back and you see, your cable or your phone line goes into the back, but on the back of it, there are lots of different Ethernet ports you can plug into. That's good. That's what we like to see. Or in some cases, you might have that modem and you might need to go out and get a router so that you can plug the modem into the router and then plug your computer into the router. And so what we're looking for is you to plug your computer into a router that has multiple ports in the back of it. And that way you can keep your computer insulated from the network so the attackers can't see it.
Okay. That's good. It provides just one more barrier between you and those that might be accessing your system, right?
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah.
And if you're utilizing Wi-Fi, your Wi-Fi password through that system would provide the same protection.
Yeah, generally when you have a Wi-Fi device, you're going to be pretty okay, right? Most of the Wi-Fi devices are also routers and will protect you from being seen directly on the internet. Yeah, right. But also you do want to have strong passwords for your Wi-Fi. You don't want people logging into your Wi-Fi. And again, a strong password means 12 characters with an uppercase and lowercase letter, a number, and a random or a special digit, like an ampersand or number sign or something like that.
Great. So you covered a lot of good tips. Where would people go or employers go to find more information about this?
Yeah, so we maintain during the COVID outbreak, we're maintaining a website called ND Response, and you can see it at ndresponse.gov. And if you go into that site, you'll find lots of great information around COVID-19, all the things the states are doing the state is doing as far as reacting to the COVID crisis. And as part of that, certainly cybersecurity and online fraud is a major consideration. So as you scroll down, you'll see a tile on there around cybersecurity and online fraud. And if you go there, you'll be able to see all the sorts of attacks that we NDIT are tracking as it relates to citizens and things you should be aware of. There are lots of really good examples of what phishing emails look like there. There are lots of good examples of different frauds and scams that people are trying to run. One PSA I'd really like to get out, and hopefully I won't have to tell many people this, but it is not possible for COVID-19 to spread to your computer, and it's not possible for COVID-19 to spread from your computer to you. COVID-19 is a human and animal virus, not a computer virus. So if someone is trying to sell you some computer software that will keep you safe from COVID-19, don't go for it. So. But you can see all sorts of interesting scams and frauds people are trying to do on that site as well.
Great, nice. Well, Kevin, thanks again for joining us today. I think this is a lot of good information, and I'd be curious to see a number of how many people are working from home now instead of at their place of business. Any idea how many state employees are working from home?
I don't have a number for you, but I can tell you it's a significant amount. We have a large number of employees working from home. The majority of the state government right now is working from home. I know as part of the Smart Restart initiative, the governor's office is looking at slowly bringing back the human-centric roles into the office and making sure that we have all the proper precautions in place before we do that. So some employees, at this point, I'm not completely sure, so I don't want to lie, but I believe some employees are starting to head back to the office already. But that being said, working from home is probably the state's maybe permanent posture from here on out. The issue was always the lift of getting people home to work at home, right? It was always a very expensive endeavor, but COVID-19 kind of forced our hand in that regard. But working from home is generally better for the employees. It's cheaper for the taxpayers, and there are a lot of efficiencies to be gained there. So I know it's something that the government's looking very, very strongly at, and maybe looking at a more permanent working from home situation for a lot more employees.
Okay. Well, great. Well, thanks again, Kevin. Again, this is Kevin Ford, Chief Information Security Officer with NDIT. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, Matt.